This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us.
That's something that we're not allowed to say. Russia tried to settle this war many times. This is why the corrupt powers that be are always trying to silence and censor RFK Jr. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters because truth conquers. And a freedom fighter that speaks so much freaking truth is RFK Jr. I love this man. I love that he's joined forces with Trump. And in this video, he shares what I would call really damning information that reveals even more corruption about the military-industrial complex, Big Ag, BlackRock, and Ukraine. One of the things I've always loved about RFK Jr. is when he speaks, like even when he was campaigning for president before he joined forces with Trump, you listen to him talk. He's just giving you information. He's not doing this emotional persuasion, bashing other people. He is just giving you information that powers that be don't want you to know. And this video is quite shocking. Let's take a look.
This is a war that should have never happened. It's a war the Russians tried repeatedly to settle on terms that were very, very beneficial to Ukraine and us.
That's something that we're not allowed to say. Russia tried to settle this war many times, but Ukraine, led by former comedian Zelensky, rejected Russia's peace terms that were favorable to them and us. Okay.
The major thing they wanted was for us to keep NATO out of the Ukraine. The big military contractors want to add new countries to NATO all the time.
No. The big military industrial complex contractors want to add countries to NATO and they want to add wars. They want to make sure Ukraine and Russia don't have peace. That doesn't sound likely. Well, I guess, you know, maybe.
Why? Because then that country has to conform its military purchases to NATO weapon specifications, which means certain companies, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, General Dynamics, Boeing, and Lockheed, get a trapped market.
So what he's saying, this is a huge point. The military-industrial complex always wants to add countries to NATO. Okay, if you become a NATO country, then you have to conform to NATO's weapons specifications, which means they have to buy weapons from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, all the companies he just mentioned. That, my friends, isn't adding countries to NATO because it makes sense for keeping peace on Earth. Countries are added to NATO because it makes sense to the bottom line of these military-industrial complex contractors.
March of 2022, we committed $113 billion. Just to give you an example, we could have built a home for almost every homeless person in this country. We then committed another $24 billion since that 2 months ago, and now President Biden's asking for another $60 billion. But the big expenses are going to come after the war when we have to rebuild all the things that we destroyed. Mitch McConnell was asked, can we really afford to spend $113 billion at Ukraine? He said, don't worry, it's not really going to Ukraine.
It's going to American defense manufacturers.
Wow. When we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, first off, if that goes to the Ukrainian people, it's still highly questionable what Mitch McConnell said, in which RFK's bringing this into beautiful context. Mitch McConnell said, yeah, that money for Ukraine is not going to Ukraine. It's going to our defense contractors. So that raises a question. As an American who pays, I would say, more than my fair share of taxes, do I want my tax money going to military industrial contractors for their profit? You say, well, it's for national defense. I would say, no, some is important for national defense. But obviously, a defense contractor company, they want their bottom line as padded as possible. That's where so much of our tax money is going. As we're funding Ukraine, we're like, we don't want to fund Ukraine. They're like, don't worry, you're funding these military-industrial complex companies, so that's good. I don't want to do that either. Shut up. What I'm about to show you is not meant to scare you, it's meant to prepare you. In just the past month, we've seen the leading presidential candidate almost get assassinated. Definitely doesn't look like an inside job. And we've seen a global cybersecurity outage by one of the leading experts in the field. Oh yeah, and we've also seen an overnight Democratic chess move, kind of looks like a coup, and an incredibly unelected candidate being elected for the candidacy. So I ask this, why is there a bird flu summit being held in DC on October 3rd, 1 month before the election? Let's check out the brochure for this little party. I'll drop a link for that in the description below. This is why I'm partnered with a wellness company. Their team is on the pulse of everything going on, and they are committed to being a resource for you, so you don't have to panic or feel PTSD from the last time they did this. Their Contagion Emergency Kit contains a variety of hand-selected medicines to treat respiratory illnesses and is medical board approved. No doctor's appointment, no time wasted, no outsourcing your health to anyone other than you being in control, and no fear. My friend, this is what I call rational readiness. Be a step ahead this time. Get the Contagion Kit and save about $50 using the code JPReacts. Go to twc.health/JPReacts and use my code. Take a quick intake form after checkout, and in about 2 weeks, your kit arrives. No red tape. It's an election year. Things are coming. Be prepared. Back to the video.
So he just admitted it's a money laundering scheme. And who do you think owns every one of those companies? BlackRock.
BlackRock. So important to note here. All those defense contractors, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, owned by BlackRock. And stay tuned, because BlackRock comes into play even more.
So Tim Scott, during the Republican debate, said, don't worry, it's not a gift to Ukraine, it's a loan. So raise your hand if you think that that loan's ever getting paid back.
Yeah, do you think Lockheed Martin's going to write you a check like, hey, we had $11,000 of your tax money. Thank you for that. Here's an $11,000 check. Thank you for the loan. Oh, plus interest. Yeah, you might be waiting a while before they pay the loan back.
Yeah, of course it's not. So why do they call it a loan? Because if they call it a loan, they can impose loan conditions. And what are the loan conditions
The corruption is getting thicker.
that we impose on? Number one, an extreme austerity program, so that if you're poor in Ukraine, you're going to be poor forever. Number two, most important, Ukraine has to put all of its government-owned assets up for sale.
So this is a loan condition. It's just kind of like, yeah, we'll go to a bank. They're saying, yeah, we'll give you a loan for your business, but you have to put your house up for collateral. So as Ukraine gets these loans that aren't really loans, but it's a loan because in a corrupt sense, that's more advantageous for these corrupt people, Ukraine has to put up its farmland.
Multinational corporations, including all of its agricultural land, the biggest single asset in Europe. In Ukraine, there's been 1,000 years of war fought over that land. It's the richest farmland in the world. It's the breadbasket of Europe. 500,000 kids almost, Ukrainians, have died to keep that land as part of Ukraine. They almost certainly didn't know about this loan condition. They've already sold 30% of it. The buyers were DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto.
The agricultural industrial complex comes into play, woven right in with the military industrial complex. And by the way, if you're on the far left, you look at the media industrial complex, censorship complex, military industrial complex, agricultural industrial complex, pharmaceutical industrial complex, and say, yeah, they care about us. Yeah, the rage against the machine, no, let's rage for the machine. They're out for our best interest. But if you use your brain and listen to RFK Jr., you realize, oh, no, they're not. The far left conforms to these. It's almost like they're becoming cheap, which the agricultural industrial complex probably wants you to be.
Who do you think owns all of those companies? Yeah, BlackRock.
BlackRock again!
And then in December, President Biden gave out the contract to rebuild Ukraine. And who do you think got that contract? BlackRock.
BlackRock again! BlackRock. Man, those BlackRock guys are good at business or good at corruption. You be the judge. So BlackRock owns the defense contractor companies benefiting from the Ukraine funding, which is just a money laundering scheme going to the defense contractors. BlackRock owns the agricultural industrial complex companies, DuPont, Monsanto, that are benefiting from the Ukraine funding. And then Ukraine's getting blown all to hell, this necessary war, because Ukraine refused to the peace terms that Russia proposed that that we're very sensible. So we have a lot of Ukraine to rebuild. What contractor is going to be doing that? BlackRock. Wow, they're triple dipping in corruption.
No, they're doing this right in front of us.
Yep.
They don't even care that we know anymore because they know that they can get away with it.
Listen to what he's about to say. They're doing this in front of us. They don't even care that we know anymore because they know they can get away with it. Here's why.
How do they know that? Because they have a strategy. And that strategy is an old strategy, which is they keep us at war with each other.
They keep us divided. They keep us distracted.
They keep us hating on each other. They keep the Republicans and Democrats fighting each other, black against white, and all these divisions that they sow.
Listen to how brilliant, from a corruption standpoint, that is. We're doing this crime in front of you, using your money to do this crime. We're profiting massively off of your money. And yeah, a lot of innocent people are dying, but we're doing this crime. We know that you know, but we're distracting you. We're making you divided. We're making you think someone else is your enemy. And if you hate that person, hate that group, hate them as your enemy, then you're distracted. You're not going to see that we're your enemy. You're not going to see that you hate us as your enemy because we've tricked you into getting your hate and division and enemy perception pointed at someone else. We're pretty smart people. Ladies and gentlemen, for me, this is a bombshell. It is so enlightening. I think this is one of these pieces of information. More people need to be aware of it because if we're not aware of things like this, we can do nothing to change it. We can't voice our voices. We stay distracted, which allows it to just continue. And shout out to RFK Jr. He just lays it out, and this makes it very obvious. This is one of the reasons why the censorship industrial complex, big tech, media, they have silenced and censored RFK Jr. even before he ran for president, and they're going to keep doing it because he is doing the Lord's work of helping truth conquer. And side note, that makes me even more excited that RFK Jr. has joined forces with President Trump. Can we make America healthy again? Can we make America great again? Well, these two great men are united against evil, and I think they're giving us a pretty good shot. Thank you for watching this video, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. Let me know what you think about the content of this video and RFK Jr.'s message in the comments below, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video. But until then, stay awake but not woke.